Hey everyone, it's Rick here. I wanted to create this channel just to really give people an idea of what it's like going through cirrhosis, finding out about it, everything like that. So, this first video I'm making is going to be on how I found out. Um, in 2023, my mother died at the end of June of cirrhosis of the liver. So if we go a couple years prior to that, several years, 5, 6 years prior to that, my mom was seeing a doctor down in Florida because her blood work seemed off when they sent her for labs and everything. And I guess how she was feeling, she felt a little off. And, it took them a little bit to figure out what it was, but then they realized what was going on with my mom. And then she eventually passed away from it. So, um, around mid to end of July, when my mom had been buried for about a month, or just under a month, my wife and my sisters were worried about me because at that point I was very depressed. I already had problems with depression for years before that, but I never seen a doctor about it or nothing like that. But I was I started drinking very heavily. Now, anyone who knows me knows that I've been a social drinker throughout the years. In times when I've been very stressed, yes, I've drank a lot. Um, didn't think anything of it, but I've never been the type of person that gets a whole case of beer and drinks it in a night. I'm not that type of, not like a alcoholic or whatever. But um, so they were telling me they were worried about me. So I promised them that I would go see a doctor just to ease their nerves that there's nothing wrong with me, that I'm fine. So when we first went to the doctor, they wanted to start doing blood work on me, and the doctor noticed that my blood work was off. They noticed I had high blood pressure, diabetes. I knew I'd never been diagnosed with it, but I knew that I had some blood pressure issues in the past. And then I figured, because I'm fat, that I was going to have diabetes. So it is just what it is. Um, so through all of that, she's like, well, I want to retest your blood numbers because some of these numbers are critically low. Like my white blood cell count, my platelet count, my red blood cells were low. Um, had some low hematocrit, hemoglobin. Had some issues with my creatinine levels. I can't remember all these things, but so we kept like retesting and retesting. She ended up getting my blood pressure under control somewhat, and um, we kind of did that for a little bit, but she couldn't figure out why my blood numbers. She had me do ultrasounds, everything like that, like CT scans or X-rays, whatever. She had some sort of thing done. I don't remember, and she was worried because my blood numbers were continually low and getting lower. Her fear was that it was leukemia. So around that time, she's like, I really want you to go to this hematologist. And she had scheduled it out for me. But in that time, I had accepted a job in another state. So I just kind of forgot about it. And I took the job in the other state and I started working. Well, like 2 months after I got that job, or 2.5 months after, you know, I didn't know if it's because I had just turned 40. Like, that's what was going on in my brain. Like, I started getting tired, like real easy, excessively tired and fatigued. And then I was having issues with pain and cramping a lot. Like, my legs would cramp up a lot and my arms would cramp up. It was really weird. Um, and then each month after that, I started getting more symptoms and more symptoms. So I'm at that point, um, like around May, I think it was, we scheduled an appointment with a doctor down in the state that we were at. Um, and then my blood numbers were very low again. And then in June of that month, I had gotten very ill and I couldn't, I didn't get back to like, I didn't get any of my energy back. Like, each month I was decreasing, but it really hit me once I got sick in June, and then I never recovered from it. Um, Fast forward, they had told me that it was going to be months before they could even get me into a hematologist, like several months. I think they were talking like October of being able to see me in the state we were at down in Alabama. So um, we contacted my doctor back up here, and my doctor wanted to see me up here because of where my blood numbers were last year. And she's like, if your blood numbers are continually like that, I need to see you and then get you into the hematologist to confirm if it's, cancer or whatever. That way we can have you start, chemotherapy or whatever. So we moved immediately up here. Barely made it up here. And the day after we had moved in, my wife and my sister had to take me to the hospital. Um, and then, like a day after that, I think it was, I ended up going into another hospital um, down in like London, Kentucky, or something. I think it was down in London. And that doctor there also was like, the way your numbers are looking, this really is looking like, confirming to me like it's leukemia or whatever. So I was like, of course, I'm thrown for a loop. He's like, you need to be admitted to the hospital. So my sister had contacted, he had let me go home that night, and my sister had contacted the on-call doctor at the hospital, and the next morning he had told her, tell him he needs to get up here. I'm just direct admitting him. And then I was in there that week. In the hospital, they're running a bunch of numbers. The hematologist comes to see me there. She runs a ton of blood tests. They take me down to do a bunch of scans. They do an ultrasound in the room. So there they confirm. By the time they let me out of the hospital, and then I followed up with my doctor and the hematologist, she had said that she's seeing some issues with my blood work, but she didn't want to do a bone marrow biopsy at that point because the scans had showed that I had cirrhosis of the liver and I had end-stage cirrhosis of the liver. And she gave me this time frame of 2 years. She said, in 2 years you'll be dead. That's exactly what she told me. She's very blunt, very direct, and she said it's going to do no good treating you, doing this bone marrow biopsy and treating you for that when you could die from the cirrhosis of the liver. So that was kind of direct. We left there. My wife was there. My sister Jessica was there. We were kind of defeated, and I told my other sister Heather, and we all were kind of like, let's get a second opinion just to make sure. So then I was referred up to the cancer center at UK, but before I could even get there, I had to go to the ER at UK, and they also confirmed that I have cirrhosis, but my blood numbers were critically low there too. I went to see the hematologist at the cancer center. They did a bone marrow biopsy. So she said, I had basically pre-leukemia called MDS, myelodysplastic syndrome, but it's secondary to the cirrhosis, and that she also believes that if I were to get a liver transplant, like the hematologist had told me, that that should hopefully correct that issue. They also noticed through doing the bone marrow biopsy that I had hypocellular bone marrow suppression. So I've got like all these things going on. So, at that time, I'm like in my head, I hadn't even seen the liver doctor yet, the hepatologist at UK. So ahead, I'm like, oh man, I got all this going on, and then if I don't get this fixed, I'm gonna die in 2 years, pre-leukemia, blah blah blah. And then come to find out, because the blood work with the hematologist kept coming out like sporadically over several weeks, and then they noticed that my numbers were indicating, I can't remember what the test is just because my mind, which we'll get into in other videos, but they were telling me that I'm having some autoimmune issues too. So, I've been stressed out. And then I get to the doctor at the University of Kentucky, and he brings in a transplant surgeon, and they're honest with me. They're like, because of your weight. I mean, the surgeon was blunt. He's like, because of your weight, if I were to put you on the table right now, and because of your blood numbers where they're at, you would not survive. Basically saying I would bleed out on the table, that they wouldn't be able to do it at that time. So he gave me a goal of getting down to a certain weight, which I'm not there yet, but I'm getting there. And I have another appointment coming up in February, where I'll see those same doctors again, and we'll see where I'm at, and they'll tell me what I need to do. But they also confirmed, because they did an ultrasound up at University of Kentucky, and even with what they're seeing the same thing. So I'm getting all of this confirmed by multiple doctors, multiple hematologists, being told by multiple people, without a liver transplant, I've got this amount of time. Now, I've heard from people that have cirrhosis. There's some wonderful groups on social media. And, some people have been told that you have X amount of time, but through changing their diet and things like that, they've been able to last a lot longer until they were able to get a transplant. So that's kind of where we're at right now. Is if I don't get a transplant, it is certain I will die, and that is scary. Actually, I see a therapist to deal with that. There are days that I feel better than I do on other days. Like, I have issues with pain in my arms and my legs every day. That doesn't go away. I have this like pressure in my head, and then I refer to it as like brain fog, but it's like almost like I feel someone squeezing my head together, like Andre the Giant's trying to crush my head. And I've had issues the past several months with hepatic encephalopathy. So they've had to take me to the hospital, where I've completely been out of it. I don't really know a lot of the details of what happened, I know I was asking for people that, like my mom that was passed away, and you get real confused. I forget a lot of stuff. My wife can tell me something, and I'll have to ask again and again. Like, um, every now and then, my wife will help me get in the car, and I'll get to ride to an errand that she's going to. That doesn't happen a lot, but maybe once a week or once every couple weeks. That way I can kind of see town or whatever. I don't go in any place because it's really hard for me to move around. But there's a lot of issues with hepatic encephalopathy. I'm going to make more videos going deeper into um, hepatic encephalopathy, and I'm going to show everyone the medicines that I have to take for that. And then I thought it would be interesting on video. I'll take those medicines, which I can get into that in other videos. But I really want to end up showing people what it's like going through this, dealing with it. It's scary. My wife's been a huge help helping me. She's taking care of me. She helps me with basically everything I got to do daily. Yeah, she helps get what I need. She's been making all my meals for me. If I need help in and out of the shower, things like that, she helps me with that. I don't drive anymore just because it's unsafe for me to do so, especially with altered mental status. It gets crazy. My sister has been able to help me, like this hospital bed. Definitely helps me with getting in and out of the bed. There's just a lot to process, a lot going on. I try not to burden a lot of people with what I'm going through, because unless you're going through it or have gone through it, you just don't know. Like today is I'm a little more clear-minded than usual today, which is why it's a good day to make a video. On my bad days, it's probably bad. I wouldn't even try to make a video on those days. I'll make videos too showing you, like, I have decreased mobility, so I have to use a rollator to get around. If I need to get around in the room, I can use a cane, hold on to that, and then hold on to a wall, lean up against a wall. I'm able to get around that way, but I've lost the ability to just walk around without having help. That's scary. Because even as a big guy, I used to move furniture around all the time. I was pretty active for a big guy. That's just kind of the intro in this video of what's going on. I'll get further in depth in other videos. I'll even have my wife on some videos, have my sister on some videos. Because, it just doesn't affect me. It affects my wife. It affects my kids. It's hard for me to have my kids see me like this because, when you got kids, you want them to look at you as a dad, as you're their hero, or they can rely on you. And right now it's just hard. And then I know with my wife, which we'll get into in other videos, but it's hard on her too. I'm so used to providing for her and the kids and taking care of them, and I'm not used to having someone help me. But, we can get into that later. I just wanted everyone to know what this page is going to be about. I'm going to try to do at least one video a week. Each weekend, put up a new video. If I can do more videos, I will. But right now, I mean, just to show you, my wife and I are in two separate beds. Thanks to people donating, she's been able to get a mattress and frame and covers. Just because it's so hard for me to the bed that we had, it was so hard for me because it sat lower to get in and out of it. At least this way, there's a triangle here which I can use to help get myself up, and then the bed lifts up and down. So I'm able to at least get this, grab my cane, and make it to the restroom in the middle of the night. Which is crazy. I have a wheelchair downstairs that my sister had that she's letting me use as well. So when we go places that there would have to be a lot of walking, I can't do that. So my wife usually pushes me around in the chair. It's kind of just where we're at right now. I will try to plan these videos out so they're a little more interesting. I know I've kind of rambled a little bit, but I just wanted everyone to know what this is going to be about and kind of what to expect out of future videos. And appreciate any prayers that you all have for me or good wishes. And if there's questions that you guys have, you can post them down in the comment section, and then I'll try to answer them, or Callie will. And yeah, I just want to bring awareness as to what cirrhosis is. And cirrhosis, just so you know, is a scarring. It's a permanent scarring of your liver. Basically, a healthy liver gets damaged multiple ways, either through autoimmune disease. People can damage it through alcohol, or the non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, which is what they're telling me how mine happened, just from eating bad for a long time. So you really got to watch what you put in your body. You got to eat healthy, or else you could end up dealing with this. And it is not. I've seen people on these pages that are in their 20s, and they're already having issues with. Now they have issues with compensated cirrhosis, and from what I've learned about that, once you have cirrhosis, you can't really reverse the scarring, but uncompensated through dieting, I mean, you could really live the rest of your life. And as long as you're eating clean, eating healthy, not drinking alcohol or anything like that, you can live the rest of your life like that. But once you get decompensated and you have end-stage liver disease, I mean, you're living on borrowed time. You could, extend a little bit by eating healthy, but I want to keep my liver as long as I can. But once I'm able to get a liver transplant, there's other risks associated with that. But the goal that we have is getting me down to the weight that I need to be at. I've already lost 3 shirt sizes. I could fit in shirt sizes that are 3 less than what I was. So that's something. I'm getting there. There's a lot of changes happening in my life. I think the one thing that's like my kryptonite is Chick-fil-A's macaroni and cheese. I rarely am able to get it. Like, I try to have at least one cheat day a month. That way I don't go crazy. But I know I need to stop that too. But we're trying to prolong this until I can get a transplant and go from there. And then hopefully a couple years after transplant, I'll be fit as a fiddle and be able to get back to work, um, doing something. I don't know what. But yeah, I look forward to any comments or questions that people have, and we could answer those. And then I'll post another video next week. I believe that video is going to be on hepatic encephalopathy, if I can remember. And I'll take my lactulose live on video and take my Xifaxan pill, which helps get your ammonia levels down. But we'll get into all that boring stuff on the next video. So thanks for watching, and love you guys, and see you soon.